Good day and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. We have got 2 recommended games. That was a bit of a letdown this week, but of course the group phase doesn't feature all that many interesting games. As we saw earlier last week, that was a lot of the lower tier bots just producing not all that, well, really splendid games. This week will be about, well, the 2 recommended games, of which this is one, and the mid-section, and next week we'll be talking about the big bots, the round of 16, which will then commence and feature the top 16 bots which will then participate. For the overview is, I had that lined up. Number 1 is Ironbot with a win rate of 93.75%, 90 wins, 6 losses, that's astounding. Then TSM Random, McRave, Killerbot, Bereaver, Steamhammer, Neo Edmundzerg, that's interesting. It's a 4-pooler, so, well, why only 1? And then we've got Microwave, Tyr Protoss, Willybot, Cherry Pie, Eric Hammer, Thomas Weider, the Carrier Bot, Andrew Smith, Skynet from 2013, 25th of May, and that's even the 5th of February in 2015. Oh, that's good. And Martin Rourke's Bot is the 16th bot, which will be participating in the elimination stages. Then the 5 next, well, they're very, very close, but it's about 3%. Ice Labs, Overkill, Killall, Dave Churchill, and LPR Bot, and then it's the rest. So, without further ado, let's hop back into the game. It's McRave versus Nightcat, and McRave, of course, can produce some quite stunning games. Before Crazio was deactivated at the start of the tournament, he, or McRave, was going toe-to-toe with Iron and Crazio. A lot of matches have been played that way, and it would really have been interesting to see Crazio in this matchup as well. But for now, we'll have to make do with McRave versus Nightcat. And Nightcat, it's the big game Hunters bot, going with an interesting building placement, and a barracks, and killing the first probe. So that's well and nicely done. Nice SimCity by McRave, I really like that. Vulture run-bys are very hard to do with a goon and a small space to enter. It's unfortunate for us that Nightcat isn't going for vultures. But there we go, we've got the academy, we've got 2 barracks, we've got the first medics, and we've also got a factory with a machine shop. And SCV wise, it's okay, it's 22, oh sorry, and McRave is going to do some goon pressure, but versus Marines, that Dragoon build is not really the most optimal, and the tanks are too far away on the high ground, and with this large number of goons with Stim and the medics, that's going to be bloody. And now 2 tanks on the high ground, repelling all the goons. It looks like some Marines are dying, but with 2 tanks on the high ground, this goon thing is surely not going to make much of an impression. And if I'm not mistaken, more tanks will be out soon. So even if McRave, with now 2 bases and about to start a 3rd, I think, is going to keep on the goon and zealot pressure, you can see many units have been damaged. And now with 2 tanks and a 3rd one and more Marines on the way, even the zealots can't really buffer all that much damage. The tanks on the high ground are just too dominant, and this one is far in the back, I don't know why. And now the Marines are doing a little bit of a sortie, and oh, look at those goons be juicy. We've got High Templar, and High Templar are going to be instrumental in killing off large numbers of bio units. We'll have to go and see how that's going to work out. McRave always keeps the High Templars far in the back, so they can't accidentally get killed by tank fire or science vessels. So we've got a 2 versus 3 base going on, and of course some defense by the Protoss, so it can ward off any kind of silly run-bys without spending too much supply on it. The 3rd tank is being rolled up to the front, and the High Templars are coming in as well, but they are not storming. They are going to die needlessly. 1, 2 are, and this one is storm ready yet. Storm is ready, so I don't know why it's not storming. And is it going to die? This goon looks to be up for it, and this High Templar is not going to be able to outrun Stimp Marines. Oh, and 1 Marine has found a nice target and is going to kill it. But more Templar. Oh, and the Templar just dies, so that's unfortunate. But the 4th base has been started for McRave. And Nightcat, well, the main is not really mining out, it's getting lower. Should be thinking about taking a third. Lots of probes being transferred all over the place, and even some gateways being added at the new third across the map. Fourth operational, and will we see another probe transfer? Perhaps we will. Army-wise, it's all about High Templars with Zealots for some reason. The army size of Protoss is very, very small. It's only 22 versus the 39 of Nightcat. And Nightcat will soon be pushing. So if you get that 50 supply bio tank push on your door, it's really hard to hold it off if you haven't got a large army. Fourth up though for McGrave, and that's going to be a factor that's going to play into this. And the fifth base already started. Worker wise, it's 70 versus 40. Army for Terran is much, much larger. McGrave though is suiciding units needlessly, and a couple of well-placed storms in this bio wall would really give it some air, but the Protoss army isn't really getting off the ground. High Templar are running away. That's really strange. Perhaps now they're coming in for some stormage, but the goons all melt, and it's 16 versus 47 army supply. Hardly a Marine is dying, and if these silly High Templar aren't going to get into the game or get to somewhere safe, they're going to be killed as well. And that's a lot of energy and money wasted. Fifth base nearly up for Protoss, but still the big story is that the Protoss army is absolutely puny, and the High Templars are refusing to storm. Have we got any kind of interesting tech? We've got the Arbiter Tribunal, and those must surely be pylons. And Nightcat isn't really pushing. Oh, here we go, and now the hammer's coming. It's going to be 60 supply. And these gateway units, they just die. That's so stupid. Lots of the High Templars with Storm, which has finished ages ago, but it's 26-24 versus a lot of army supply, and they refuse, they plain out refuse to land a Storm. That's so beyond me. These Dark Templars are just running. Oh, this is absolute silly. Oh yeah, well that's a nice Storm, finally. Could have another one or two. But unfortunately, it's not really happening. We've got some gateways here, so even though there is a tank lineup, what the bloody hell are you doing, Mr. Templar? That's really beyond me. I can't, for the life of me, think of. Oh, well, that's a nice one on the tanks, and a couple of goons clean up some tanks. But the Terran army's still there. It's 47 versus 26 army supply. Now there is an Arbiter, but it's not really joining the battle for some reason. It's cloaking the Templar, which aren't doing anything anyway, so what's the bloody point? Meanwhile, the tanks are progressing on this base here, and some medics are dying, but I think this base is going to be all for it. The question is though, with the pressure let off from the main base, and when these Zealots are so absolutely gobsmackingly stupid, big problem though for Nightcat is the main is out, and now Protoss is coming into full macro mode, losing a base though, and now are going for the main Terran army. Nice stasis there, but McGrave is really dropping the ball, I feel, on this one, because the Templar are not doing anything, and although McGrave is retaking bases faster as it's losing them, the Marines are now in the natural, and this Arbiter is really, really fucked up. Now, a couple of Dark Templar with a lot of... this is so bad. I didn't know McGrave could play this bad, really. Nightcat, though, is macroing nicely, building a lot of barracks and just producing lots of units. And McGrave is really struggling to get anything off the ground. The army is so small, it's only 20, 24, 25. And all the units are so gobsmackingly stupid. It's really a great source of puzzlement for me, and the units that are produced, they are attacking one at a time. Now a couple of Marines are coming in, but there's just nothing there for Protoss. There's no coherent defense, and some Zealots are over here and running about there, and the Arbiter's still camping the high ground for reasons, and the medics are there, and the tank is stasis, so all kinds of beautiful stuff going on. But Protoss is not, it's just saving the natural. But there is a nice large batch of Marines coming in again. And although all the medics die, I think Protoss is just going to hold this nice storm, finally a storm. And the Protoss army is now 66 with all the macro from all the bases kicking in. I think that might just work in the long run. Stasis in your own units is also going to work. And finally, there is some kind of a Protoss fighting force, and these two probes can't really take down their base because there are two. And now Protoss is tearing into the natural of Terran. And you can see the Protoss army is finally there. It has, oh, that's nice, a double stasis on those tanks. Going to save a lot of damage, but these Templar are so stupid. Oh, well, there we go. Couple of, storms everywhere, actually. Finally, these Templar found something to do. Another base being taken by Nightcap. From the looks of the army supplies, this is over. It's 106, 110 versus 23. And the Grave is stockpiling money, so can replace instantly what it's losing. And although, oh well, that's a nice position on the high ground, but there is just too much stuff from Protoss. I think without Storm, I think you can, as a Terran, hold the high ground a little bit, but you are going to need units, and these tanks are in a brilliant position, so they can really do a lot of damage without being punished by these Protoss units. The problem is going to be, though, that it is a huge army. These two bases are untouched. Two barracks, so some reinforcements are coming to come from behind, but these tanks have all been stasis or killed, and there is no marine support whatsoever. This tank is going to die, and the Grave is finally powering through. Another tank going to siege up, but it's just not enough. The Grave has found its stride. Natural mined out, third nearly mined out, but the Grave is everywhere and just going to tear down the main base. So Nightcat, valiant effort and some really suspicious play by Grave, and I hope that in the elimination phase it's going to play a little bit better, because versus the top bots you can't really get away with these kind of sloppy high Templar. And this is, I think, the game. So yeah, hitting another base as well. Going to go into the next game, which has also been recommended. Oh no, I'm going to save this till last. So, I'll need the replay viewer, and I'm going to go into the games which I have selected for this day's broadcast. It is the middle of the pack, so earlier, last week we showed the bottom of the pack, and now it's just the midfield, so the top 20 is sort of clear and the lower 10. But between those, we've got about, well, we've got nearly 80 bots, so we've got about 50 bots in between them. And this is one set, it's Andrei Kurdyamov playing random Royal Terran this once, and we've got Lucas Moravec, the Protoss, which was really being updated a lot and has grown into brighter force. I don't know if it's enough to make round of 16 this year. We are going to see a 2-gate, and at the other end of the map a 2 barracks build, so lots of early unit production early on. And we are going to see a small detachment of Marines roving the map, and the Protoss base has been scouted, so there we go. The Marines have found this one Zealot and are going to kill it. There are 4 more Zealots over here, so now the Marines will have to run. And more Zealots are coming, nothing much brewing behind that. We've got an assimilator. And it's going to be a tug of war between the Marines and the Zealots. Of course, more Zealots will be waiting at the natural choke, so for now I think these players are evenly balanced. Would like to see an academy for some medics, because once you get medics, that Marine force will be worth infinitely more. And the Zealots, once they get into sufficient numbers, they are going to kill Marines for breakfast. And if the Marines are only running, have we got any bunker? No, we haven't. So this is going to be a dangerous proposition. They will need to stand and fight. They are going to do just that. Now, what have we here? We've got a cyber core and more Zealots coming up. And more Marines coming up. No gas being taken. We've got an eBay for what I do not know. No more workers for Kurdyamov as well. So it's going to be all Marines versus all Zealots for the time being. Will we see any goons? Yep, that's one. And either this Marine force will need to do something bloody brilliant anytime soon. And these Zealots just can't make up their mind. But now with the goon, perhaps they will be brave enough to face the Marine hordes. 2 Marines die, but more Marines will arrive, and that is just the bane of melee units. If you get a large number of ranged units to fight you, it's going to be very nasty pretty soon. So Kurdiamov with 16 Marines and a lot of money in the bank. It's not building anything more for the time being, so I don't know what that's about. While Lucas Moravec is going to take an expansion, and that's this kind of era can't really allow your bot to progress. We've got another base taken, but it's not really working. But at least the barracks are flashing again, and more barracks are being built. The Marine blob, though, now 28 Marines, is going strong. The Protoss army is very, very tiny, and it really doesn't want to fight all that much. It's a really pacifist Protoss army, and this command center is not being resumed, so that's perhaps breaking Kurdiamov's build. And of course depots are being built, and you've got more barracks, but you'd really like to have something check. Is that thing still building, and what can we do about this? Now we've got Marines in the Protoss Natural, and we've got the Protoss army in the Terran Natural, and nothing's building for Kurdiamov. That's really, really stupid. But of course, if you haven't got code for that, that is exactly what's going to happen, and that's just one of the 1,000 things you've got to think about when coding a brute war AI, that you need code for all kinds of contingencies. And oh, finally there is an SUV which is not restarting the command center but building it again. And now the Protoss army is still pretty small. Some probes have been killed, the Nexus has survived, but we've got a large Terran army, and I think this Nexus is going to fall, but the goons are trying to stop it. Oh, have we got a Reaver? Oh, hello, that's pretty good. And perhaps the Reaver might just stop these Marines in their tracks. No. Ooh, that's another good shot. And another one. And another one. Oh dear, 2 Reavers shut down this Marine thing quite completely, but the natural for Kurdiamov is up. So despite this not being the most advanced match, and these bots appear to be pretty clunky at times, we've now got 5 goons and 2 Reavers, one of them in a shuttle, advancing upon the Terran position. It's 8 versus 24 army supply, and Protoss looks to be rebuilding the natural. So the Terran now with a lot of money, and is not really building anything, and that's so incomprehensible to me. It's plopping down a third while it's got 2-0 army supply, and it's not building anything while the Marines are, or there are no Marines, while the goons and the Reavers, or at least one of the Reavers, where's the other one? The other one is coming to crawl in here. Oh, it's found a third, and that's just some really rudimentary decision making going wrong. And now the Reavers and the Zealots and the goons are all over it. Lucas Moravec taking a kill over Andriy Kurdiamov, and that is the game. So next up we've got Oleg Ostromov and Orgzanik. Oleg is one of these 2013 Terrans, which can still play a pretty good game, but it's got some issues of its own. And Orgzanik, well, we'll see what it will do. We've got a 9 pool and an extra Overlord, and now we'll probably see 3 batches of Zerglings being made, and they are not going to attack. That's really strange. We've got some SCVs over here. I, by God, don't know what they're going to do. They're not even going to defend themselves. Oh, well, they are going to defend themselves, and as they are SCVs, they're going to do so pretty well. Orgzanik, meanwhile, building Extractor, so has got more tricks up its sleeve. And Oleg is going for some Marines, and the Marines are going to help the SCVs, but they're not really attacking as well as they could. This SCV is standing idly by, and the Zerglings are messed up beyond belief. That's really something. And now we've got 3... Oh, we've got the natural taken. We've got 3 Marines, 2 SCVs, more Marines being sent over. And this looks like an eBay or an academy. And gas is being taken as well. So again, not 2 of the best bots, but they've got more than just crashed game or just mine or just build Marines. They've got a bit of a plan, and it will be interesting to see how well those plans are going to be executed. Terran, meanwhile, is building up a nice army. It's 8 versus 0 army supply, and as there is no sunken either, oh well, there are 2, but at the wrong place. And there we go, the natural, oh god, it's going to morph into a lair, and it's not going to be cancelled by the looks of it. Oh, and the Marines are just going straight for the main base, where 2 more sunkens are going to be built. The one sunken in the rear is going to do some damage, but oh dear, the sunkens are not covering the drones as they should. And we've only got one drone left, and the Marines are targeting the drones. That's a good decision. But now, yeah, we've got one drone left, and a couple of drones harvesting here. Oh, that's interesting. They were not killed at all. And we've got one fire bat coming up. Oh, and a medic. And it's going to ignore this base over here. Oxanic steadfastly refuses to build an army, and this medic, I think something very interesting is happening here. While two drones being transferred for reasons. We've now got 11 workers, and we've got 2 barracks now for Oleg Ostromov, and perhaps a third being built. Marine scouting, but the Marines being sent in. Oh, the drones are going to bug out like no tomorrow. And this is really going to be one of these matches where stupid things will happen. The problem though is that we'll have a large Terran army, and the drones over here are not protected, and they're going to bug out. These 2 sunkens can do quite well. The problem is that Oxanic hasn't got anything to kill. Oh, we've got a Hydra now, and it's going to take down this. Oh, not these 2 Marines, and you can see where the problem lies. Oleg Ostromov is now pumping for more barracks, and the drones are not protected. Oxanic hasn't really got the money, and it's got 2 more drones, presumably. This is going to be a oh, the last drone dies, and these are going to be Zerglings. Oh, the last drone just lives. Oh, a Whitner. That was a really tiny gap, and now it's only to be hoped for Oxanic that these Marines will not find its last drone. 2 more minerals harvested, and it can build another. Problem though is that there are about 25, exactly 25 SCVs harvesting there. Ooh, the drone got killed. That's very unfortunate by the fire bat at the ramp. I don't know what the heck was doing moving out there. These 2 sunkens can take a bit of a pounding, especially as these units are being fed in 1 or 2 at a time. But Oxanic will need to have to bring up some very good play to get out of this mess. And it's going to fight and not mine, so that basically will be the game. And Oleg will stream in units, and we'll be going for this sunken over here and these sunkens over there. No natural will be taken, so perhaps these sunkens can stay in the game and long enough with their regeneration for them. Yeah, well, this one's actually getting a little bit stronger over time. But oh, this sunken's very low as well. I think that Oleg might just have enough juice in its main to tear down these sunkens. This one's still there, and if it builds medics and it's force feeding the medics to the sunkens, this sunken though is getting very low. And there it goes, it dies. And now we've only got 1 left, and the Terran takes it. So Oleg Ostromov, with just long distance mining from the natural, takes the game. GG. Let's get into the... Oh, sorry. I don't want to open this file otherwise than with the replay viewer of this beautiful open BW. The replay viewer, TSMU and Im42, thank you very much for building it. Now we've got Alien. Alien's a pretty good Zerg. I'm surprised it's not really approaching the round of 16. Going to fight the enemy, and Megabot is really Skynet Aya, and I believe there was another bot. Which one is it? Megabot, does it say perhaps? Skynet, Zelnaga and Nuzbot. And it's selecting either of these bots to play a game, and presumably matching the enemy output to get the most bang for its buck. So interesting project, but not really original by its own, but it's nice to see. And of course Skynet's pretty good, Nuzbot and Zelnaga are pretty average, but it's nice to have Zelnaga in here anyway. So there we go, Megabot going for a, looks like to be some kind of DT thing going on, while Alien is going for the sunken. Couple of drones, work count not really all that high, going for some Hydras. And will we see a, yep, there we go. We've got the Templar Archives coming up, all of one base, lots of probes being produced, and small Protoss army. And Alien going for what actually? A handful of Zerglings, couple of Hydras, so we've got an Overlord nearby, but now the Dark Templar are out, you've got to match these two together. And there is an Overlord here. It shouldn't be straying too far because this Protoss army is pushing the small Zerg army back. Overlord going to die. Zerg will not be supply blocked, but this Overlord's got to be really careful. Now, the first DT though has died. There is a second one, but the Overlord's still alive and the DT is going to die. Yes, there we go. So with 3 Sunkens, 1 more being built, I think Zerg might just be saved. More Overlords congregating to this position. Natural being taken by Megabot. And Megabot has not really built anything in a while. Actually, 8 army supply. I think it's going to think about something to do next. While Zerg is sitting happily back. Not really having all that many workers. Having a very small army supply. Should be taking the fights at the Sunkens, but isn't doing so. And Megabot is taking 1 more base, which will be found momentarily by this scouting Overlord. And this probe will be found as well. Have we got any upgrades? Not from Protoss. From Zerg we've got Zerg speed, Hydra speed and range. That's all dandy and nice, but the Zerg units are all over the map and getting stuck here. Going for a lair, going for some more workers, 24. And of course, if you're going to build some... I'd really like to see a third. And now the Zerg army is getting into its stride, and this one Hydra is being shut down by the probes. Going to out-micro the probes, hopefully, but its micro isn't really that spot on. And, ooh, this probe takes a Hydra. That's a very brave thing to do. And now the Protoss is back with some goons at the Zerg defenses. Now Alien expertly fighting with the Lings, the Hydras, and the Sunkens, but should be moving back. Because in the big field they're going to be kited by these goons, and that's going to be costly, especially if a Zealot's coming out to help. Natural being taken by Protoss. Protoss with 42 workers in a good position and a third operational as well. Zerg really slow, building some hatcheries over here. It's got a lot of workers too, but I'd really like to see 1 or 2 more bases. But now putting a lot of pressure on Protoss. Protoss with only 8 army supply. The Zealot is dying, but Zerg is really with a tiny army. Can't really get too much done. We've got Overlord speed now, and we have got, will this be a third base? Yeah, that's a third base. Lots of hatcheries, and Zerg is getting more aggressive. Problem though is going to be that Protoss will be able to produce much more in way of an army with the added economy it's got. It's 50 versus 30 workers, and although some workers are being pulled to help them defend, we've got 1 more Dark Templar, and Dark Templar, not only for their cloak are they important, but they can also do quite a bit of damage. Look at how fast these Zerglings are dying, 1 sweep at a time. That's really something new as a Protoss. You could keep a couple of DTs in your army just for that DPS alone. Third base now will be found by this probe, and the probe is going to work on it. It's going to target the hatchery, which for me will indicate that, oh, these probes are very brave, that Protoss will probably make that expansion its next target. Probe transfer going horribly wrong, but that's to be expected. Third base being populated by drone transfer. This base will not be the 4th, and a handful of units will take down the 3rd of the Protoss. So Alien, despite a bit of a rocky start, is playing it rather safe and being very meticulous in tearing down the 3rd base. Units are coming down the probe, so that's not really really an issue. And another base being taken, unfortunately on the way out for this small Zerg band. And once they've killed all the probes, they'll no doubt find the new Nexus, which will be targeted as well. So there we go. Protoss going to be in a bit of trouble because it's got no army supply, it's got no money, all the probes are doing stupid things, and Zerg is running away with this game. 4th base being started in the main base. We've only got a Hydra Den, we've got a Spire now, and Queen's Nest in a very peculiar place. Hive being started. Worker-wise, it's 60. So Alien, once it gets into mid and late game, it can really pack a punch. Until that, I think is very vulnerable and might be why it's losing so many games and not making its way into the round of 16. Going to call the GG, especially as though the last observer, not the last observer, but one observer snuffs it. We've got 1 more out there being targeted by the Overlord. He's going to keep on following it, and the observer's trying to shake it off. But as soon as we get... Oh, there we go. We've got more Scourge coming up. And 2 Scourge... Oh, only 1 Scourge hit it. So that's GG. And let's hop into the next game, which will be Korean versus Ekberg. Oh, I don't know. Eki. So, Korean. I hope it's really Korean in name. Do we know anything about Korean? Korean University of Washington. That's always nice to have. And Korean, what's it going to do? Looks like a 9 pool. And Ekberth is one of the University of Carlos III from Madrid, and it's the best bot of the lot and can really play a decent game we saw last week, so I don't know too much about Korean, so this might actually again be a really good match. Natural being taken by Korean, and then I believe the spawning pool, then the gas and lots of workers. And while that is a little bit ballsy, I think this game is going to turn out alright for our Korean from Washington, because Ekberth is not really all that interested in producing lots of units. We've got about 4 Marines in a bunker, and behind that a really lot of tech is going on. The first 6 Zerglings are not really going to get much done here, and now the bunker's coming to bear. These Zerglings are basically wasted, so they should have been more careful. But behind this Koreans has got the worker lead, and that's very interesting. The second gas is starting as well, and Korean building more and more workers, and the sunken is this going to be. So that's all very nice and well. Ekberth has got the bunker, has got a turret, so no DT shenanigans, no lurker stuff going on. It's got Comsat, is building some upgrades, and is also taking down the scouting overlord. So all in all, for the University of Carlos III, that's pretty well done. 3 sunkens now at the base entrance of Korean. We've got the Spire, we've got the in-base third, so, oh, that's a very, I'd say that's a very decent AI right there. Now we've got a handful of neuters, and Koreans got 14 army supply. I don't see anything else, so that must be 7-8 neuters taking their time, not really doing too much. And Ekberth is, oh, I should speed it up just a notch, because there are so many games, because I basically need to show you the entire midfield. Oh, and now the neuters are in, and they've got pretty decent micro. Look at that, not taking too many hits, taking a swipe at the Marines, and the Marines, have they got stim? They've got stim, so these neuters really can't get too much done, and you can see lots of them dying, and they should really not be taking these fights, especially since they're not even killing a single Marines with the next swipe. And now they're going to regroup. No third being taken by Korean. Will we get any upgrades? Nope, no upgrades. 1-1-1 and 1-1 and range done for Terran. So Terran in an okay position, I'd say, for this match, because Korean keeps throwing away neuters and the Marine count is growing, and even an expansion. Wow, that's so cool. I didn't know the University of Carlos III could do that at all. But Ekberth is really proving its strength, and Korean, Washington must be a rich university that it can spend so many neuters on getting nothing done. And another one is dying. So you in Brute War, you've got this minerals lost tab somewhere, and that's really must be a horrible sight for Korean right now. Korean not going for a third now, mixing in some Lings, but we've got so many Marines. Oh, these 3 are really exposed. So some Marines may die, but when the medics show up with the stim, this medic Marine thing is going to get way out of control. 2 bases now. Worker-wise, Korean's still ahead, but only on 2 bases, so it doesn't really matter. And it's still throwing away units left and right. That's not good. So what will we see? No, just throwing units. Oh, and Ekberth is moving up. 2 sunkens are no match for this nice bio-war. And Ekberth keeping its units nicely together, being very meticulous, killing the larvae, killing the extractor, killing all the drones, and now the main base is up for grabs. 3rd base being started. Ekberth is not the fastest, not the best build order, but very solid play, and I congratulate it for the victory in this game. GG! Now we've got Travis Shelton, which is a random bot, here rolled as Zerg. The opponent is Peregrine bot. You can see 1 drone, 1 more drone, and then a very quick spawning pool. So I like the incorporation of just 2 more drones. You've got 6, that's 50% more eco. And oh, this is going to be a build order win surely, because Travis Shelton is going for a natural, not building anything. He's got lots of money, And oh dear, that's pretty bad. All the Lings are going to go on a wild drone chase, and the drone is now going to die, but might just give Shelton the opportunity to do something. But I think this drone is trying to start a spawning pool, but for some reason not really getting it done. And then we finally got the spawning pool, and these Zerglings are very, very far out, roving all over the map, not really, now perhaps looks to be converging upon the enemy base. The spawning pool might just get done, and now they're going to trace this drone again. This drone dies, and now they're going to come up again. A couple of more workers for Peregrine, another hatchery being able to produce more drones, and the spawning pool got finally done as gas got taken. But that's a very sloppy build order, especially for Zerg versus Zerg. You can't really get away with 16 hatch, then a pool, and then expect to live. There are 12 Lings out there, and 5 minutes into the game, not a single sunken all Zergling has been produced for Shelton, so that's very bad. Oh, there are some Zerglings now. That's good, I think. Although, well, what do you know? These Zerglings are really beyond me what they're doing. All the Zerglings for Peregrine have stalled. Occasionally they move, but I don't know where to. And it's 26 Zerglings, which are basically doing nothing. And Travis Shelton has got a lair and has got a Hydro Den, so must not be surprised when we see lurkers anytime soon. It's got 21 workers and 0 army at all. And this is... I really don't know what these Zerglings are doing. Well, I know what they're doing, I don't know why they're doing it. And a small Zergling pack is going to run by all... Oh, now all the Zerglings converge upon the enemy units. But it looks like that these Zerglings are only going to attack whatever strikes their fancy. Namely, what enters their sight of vision. And look at all the Zerglings being produced. That's 48, that's nearly 100 Zerglings. And we will see the 100 Zergling thing yet. Oh, well, we've got the lurk. Oh, oh god. That was pretty bad. And we had, that was about 50 Zerglings killed by one lurker. That's pretty bad. All the Zerglings now retire. Another hatchery coming up. No more workers. 4 bases for Travis Shelton. And this is not a base, this is just all the overlords. 74 supply worth of overlords congregating over this position. And now the lurkers are in. And yeah, that's the game. Okay. So GG, Travis Shelton takes its time and the game. Next up, we've got a LMAO from the Delft University of Technology and Pineapple Cactus. So LMAO is one of the 3 bots from the Gold Project, about which I wrote an article. You can read it on our website, see bottom right. It's currently labeled under the blog section. It's really a nice project, 200 students coding Ruble AI, and only 3 bots made it onto the ladder. That said, for starting students, it can be a little bit daunting to write a competent AI. We saw from the entries from the University of Madrid, sometimes they wouldn't start or just do all kinds of crazy things. That's not really motivating. Considering you spend a couple of weeks implementing all the things they can do and then get slaughtered, or not even seeing your bot start. So that must be, could be quite frustrating. A third sunken for Pineapple Cactus. Oh, and the hatcheries cancel. That's not given to every bot. That's not everyone can cancel these buildings. And this, oh, this sunken just lives. And now it's pretty safe here, were it not that more zealots are on the way. They're not going for the damage sunken, they're going for the first one and not going to kill it. So now we've got 4 sunkens, 1 creep, and more zealots on the way. So LMAO is just going to build a lot of zealots, look like. Has got a core, so we might see some goons too. The link count is going to grow, and it will need to grow because it needs to protect this hatchery, and that's something that more experienced bots take advantage of. They take a 3rd base in the main base, a 3rd hatchery or a 2nd hatchery, just to have more larvae, because now it's really stressed out to get another a large enough army going to ward off this full zealot thing that's hitting its base every time. And Alemao is going for, I think, a Citadel and perhaps may do some Dark Templar thing. And again, the Natural's being killed. Oh, that's very unfortunate. This drone doesn't really know about safe zones and it's getting itself killed as well. We've got one Hydra and 2 Zerglings, but you really need about 10 Hydras to save this from this base from happening. And now we've got a hatchery which is being morphed into a... Oh, that's not a hatchery. Oh, that's the creep colony providing creep. And again, the hatchery is being started in the natural, and that's very unfortunate because it's going to cut down again. And the main is going to run out anytime soon, and on one hatchery you're not really going to get anything done. You can defend your main base, and the question is what's Alemao going to do? We've got Templar Archives, and again it's the 4 Zealot thing. 2 Zerglings, 2 Hydras, and now they're going to fight with the Sunguns. That's pretty well done, but it should really emphasize its army at this point, because it needs to be able to protect this army from 2 or 3 waves of... Oh, that's pretty clever. Taking the natural base not at the natural spot where it's going to be attacked, but at the 3rd base, thus providing an extra hatchery, extra income, and in a safe space to... Oh, and only if this stupid Hydra isn't going to lure the Zealots to the base, and it should not be dying here, and oh god, the Zealots have found it now. So, yeah, there we go, and despite there being a Templar Archives, there is even a lot of gas, actually. Protoss is not going to build anything else but just Zealots. And the 3rd, oh, perhaps if these are Zerglings it might be saved, but the drone, oh god, this is so hard to see, and now these Zealots are hitting the main base too, and that's just a very unrefined Zerg play, and taking down the hatchery, and another hatchery being started, and the Zerg army being too small because there aren't any larvae, and the base being torn down again. Oh, the Hydra this time. Lure the Zealots into... Ooh! Oh, there we go. There we go with the Dark Temp. Oh god, this I can't bear to watch. But I should. And the Dark Templars having so much DPS so they can actually take down the Sunken as well. And you can see this going on, and turrets being rebuilt, and the base getting low here, and the base getting low there. I think Zerg is an advantage for some reason, but... I don't really know. It's hard to say. And the Hydras... Oh dear, yeah, well there you go. The Overlord cover wasn't there, and Pineapple Cactus leaving the game. GG. Okay, so... We've got... Oh, this is a nice match. It's Python, and we've got Aya, which stands for Artificial Intelligence Using Randomness, from Florian Richoux. And we've got Travis Shelton again, this time rolling as Terran. And what will we see? Nothing much here. No army from Aya at all. And that's really beyond me how bots can be so... Or perhaps that's... Aya learned that it's not going to have to fear any kind of rush from Travis Shelton Terran. But now there is... Oh, we've got Dark Templar and they're killing Marines. Yeah, there we go. Now the Marines are making their way over. There is no ComSat, there is no detection of any kind. And the Dark Templar... Oh god. As a human player, you would... If the Marines were coming from here, you would never, ever, ever go to scout over there. Or there. But as a Protoss bot, it's, well, okay, well, let's just do this, and let's not wait till the enemy gets the detection, which has happened now. And just go out and kill them. If you're going for Dark Templar, you must get something out of it, because it's very expensive, and yeah. You've got Medic and Marines now. One Medic is going to die, looks like, from 2 cannons. Everyone's fleeing. Scan goes off on the DT, and Terran will hold this, despite suffering some losses. Oh, we'll hold this. We've got 2 Dark Templar now. And there is just nothing there. So Aya going to do this in style with 3rd being taken. Nice observer over there. And Terran now defending the ramp, but there are too many Dark Templar. Oh, and mines in the harvesting area. That's not really the best idea. Protoss army getting stuck outside. And... Oh, there we go. Clearing mines with a Dark Templar. despite there being observers out, so that's rather sloppy. It's a pity that Florian Michu hasn't got the time to develop his plot more, because it's really a force of its own, but could do some with some updates. So that's the game, and let's hop into the next one. It's Yuan Hengzi versus Kruke, and if I'm reading these names right, it's China versus Germany. And what have we got? Oh god, it's a cannon rush thing. So the cannon rush is coming up, and will we have siege tanks or a bunker or anything? No, we won't. And Yuan Hengzi is going for oh god, a couple of gateways as well. And it can't really build, it must now either build a turret, a cannon, no, a pylon over here, or do it with the bio units. But by now there are 4 gateways, and that's a pretty BM thing, and I would like to have seen this in the round of 16, but it's not happening. And there we go. So here we go, zealot number increasing, nothing happening over here at all, just cannons. Oh, and there comes another pylon, so perhaps another couple of cannons in the main base as well. But the zealots have got things well under control, and Yuan Hengzi is going for a flawless victory. GG. Next up, it's a Roman Danielis, a Protoss who can do everything, the only ones using Disruption Web. And the enemy, of course, is UP StarCraft AI 2016. Playing a Zerg, going for a 4-pool. Oh, hello, another 4-pool. And Danielis is going for a 2-gate, so could perhaps have a Zealot out if the scouting is going to go wrong like this. No, nothing found here, and now we've got about 10 Zealots. But we have got only one. Where is the Zealot? Oh, the Zealot's over here, chasing all the units away, and another Zealot's being built. So with 3 gateways you might be able to hold this, but the Zealots would please pop now. One at the ramp is going to be surrounded, another one is taking only 1 down. The workers will have to go and defend, and they are doing not that. Oh, this Zealot has got a pretty good position, and with 3 gateways I think Protoss might just hold this, yes, with a couple of low HP Zealots, but that's done and done. And then Zerg's only got 4-5 drones, and Protoss has got things well locked down with 4 Zealots now and 3 gateways. Still a lot of workers intact. 5 Zealots now, and this game is going to be over. Haha. Looks like. Unless, of course, Zerg does something rather brilliant. Now stocking up Zerglings for perhaps one big last-ditch effort. And it's also going for more workers and for a natural. Protoss doing the same. And there is a large contingent of Zerglings advancing upon the Zealots, but the Zealots are just too many. Have they got any upgrades? We've got no upgrades yet, but the Zerglings are being butchered regardless. Natural for Protoss coming up, and this looks like it's going to be cannon. 4th gateway starting up, only 7 workers for Zerg, and this Overlord is really having some kind of issues. But that's not really important, because the Zealot army is there, going to hit the natural, tearing down the natural, tearing down the egg, and then going to take up this spot without killing the main. Zerg, meanwhile, is building Zerglings of 1 hatchery, while Protoss has started the 3rd. Have we got any more complicated units? No, we haven't really. And now the entire Protoss army is moving back for reasons unknown. Oh, protecting the 3rd, which was under imminent attack. 4th base being started as well, and with cannons to protect it, because this 4-pool is so utterly dangerous. And Roman Danielis can't really find the enemy at this point. Nicely placed gateway, but you never know. Han is approaching max, so I don't know what that's about. We've got 4 bases and a large army. Will they find? Yep, oh, they knew about it all along. And taking it down in style, not nearly reaching max, but Roman Danielis taking out UP StarCraft AI 2016. Next up, we've got Gao and Chen. Lots of updates last year, even tried to emulate Ximp, the carrier bot ones, not quite as successful. And now is back to standard Protoss play. We'll see a 2-gate with another pylon, and the Zerg is going for a handful of Zerglings, which are not going to attack. And either this is a very ballsy 3rd, or a drone which has lost its way. And I really don't know what these Zerglings are doing. This is quite beyond me. They are mulling about. One gets killed in the middle of the map, and Chen is going for another gateway and some kind of tech building. Hope it's a core. And now the Zealots are attacking the hatchery, while the Zerglings, oh well, they take their sweet time, but finally they go and repel these Zealots. But the Zealots are still in full HP, so Protoss-wise, things are happening correctly, while these Zerglings are really the most stupid Zerglings I've ever seen. Now they're going for an attack, or at least taking a position, and they could easily take a handful of Zealots, but they are fleeing, and they may die, well die doing so, and this is really bad army management. Zerglings dying left and right, nothing being done, one sunken at the wrong end of the base, and Protoss is just going to build a couple of units. So, looks like the Natural is now under attack. The Zerglings clear it up though, that's pretty well done. But I don't know for the life of me what the hell they are doing in the main base. We've got a sunken, it's torn down immediately, and now the Protoss army is there, and the Zerglings are God knows where. Protoss not really doing anything interesting, building Zealots and Goons, sending them over, and this is the GG, and Brian Weber, I thought you were better than this, but apparently not. Sorry. Next match is Pineapple Cactus again versus Overkill, and I thought, well, perhaps I'd show you a Zerg versus Zerg. Overkill's got a pretty decent build order stack, and Shu hasn't unfortunately been able to provide a nice update. Took third place at CRG last year out of nowhere, which was pretty impressive. Since then, nothing much has been done. So, Shu, please come back, and if you find the time, please update your bot. We've got 4 Zerglings with some movement issues, or at least looks like the if you speed it up, these 2 are humping the middle one. Oh yes. While Pineapple Cactus is trying to build, or is actually building, a spire. So we've got a spire, and what have we here? We've got another, I think it's going to be a spire. We've got an Evo chamber as well. Worker-wise, Shu is in a much better position with 3 bases and an additional creep colony, which might help defend versus these Mutas and even 2 Scourge. This, oh, that's pretty well timed. I don't know if the entire base is protected though, but oh dear, yeah, the Mutas are going for the Spore, and that's something you shouldn't ever do. And now Shu with 2 Spores protecting its 2 bases with the larger drone count. One drone seems to have gotten lost, or perhaps it built that Spore colony. Natural being started from Pineapple Cactus, and some Zerglings as well. We've got 2 or 3, oh 3 actually. And Overkill is not building any army. That's really surprising. We've got a lot of money, but not really doing anything with that. We've got Muta, and there are all kinds of Muta battles going on, some dogfights. But as the Muta count for Pineapple Cactus is just much bigger, oh god, what are they going to do? They are just going to make a run by and not actually attack anything. The Zerglings are trying to be very brave, but they're not getting attacked. Third base being started for Overkill, but is not defended at all. And now the battle is being brought to you by these Mutas, which are running from the Scourge, and not really, they could have killed those Overlords. And the Mutas for Pineapple Cactus are doing something as well. All the drones are not protected at all. And now drones die, but Pineapple Cactus was actually building them, and it's got 2 Spores of its own in a rather peculiar position. But hey, what can you do with that? Third lives for Overkill, and we've got this really weird distributed Zerg versus Zerg going off on this map, but not really any kind of coherent plan. And again, the Muta's going after this sunken, this Spore. And it's not really working. 2 more Mutas hitting the drones, and you can see Overkill pulling ahead in drone supply, and I cannot help but think that eventually that will result in a Muta advantage. Especially since we've got 3 bases with the opportunity of 3 gases, and it's 36 versus 22 drones. Again, drones being killed by Overkill, and now they're going for this. Oh, the Spore was cancelled, but now I think the drone Muta count for Overkill is too large, and Overkill is going to take this match, especially since Natural is dead. and Pineapple Cactus only got 4 army supply at this moment. Now 3 got a couple of spores, that's nice, but they're in the wrong position and the natural isn't covered at all. The third is up and running. Gas is being taken. Have we got anything interesting brewing? No upgrades. Oh, sorry. Well, we've got Muto weapons and overlord speed for overkill. Another base being taken for Pineapple Cactus. Lots of money in the bank, not enough gas. And that pretty much will be the game. Handful of links coming up too for some extra DPS, and I like that because it's going to take forever to tear down this base with mutas, although by now there are so many mutas, it's about 20, that it's not going to be a problem. And the lings are waiting until the Sunkens are dead, I think. All they are going for this base. No drones being built for reasons, and Pineapple Cactus appears to be unable to restart, and this muta thing of overkill is going to tear down everything nice and tight. More upgrades. Yeah, well, armor is starting as well. I think that's okay. And now the main army is converging upon some point. And oh, nice. Pineapple Cactus is restarting, and I can only hope it won't be found for some time, because if it... well, no, that's a little bit too late. The Zerglings find it, and the mutas are over there as well, killing all of these 2 overlords first, and then coming back for the main base. That's the GG, Chichishu taking it over Pineapple Cactus. Now we've got Sorenclet, the bot's called Whopper, and that's War Operations Planned Response, the new game in that movie from 1984, I believe. And the enemy is Brian Weber, which sort of disappointed me earlier because I thought it could play a little bit better than I saw it do. Now we see a handful of Zerglings. They're going to scout, and Whopper is going for a bunker, pretty well placed because you could actually run around this, but not many bots are doing that. And just a couple of 2 Marines in there, just right enough to take down these Zerglings, and then coming off with 3 SCVs to repel that or repair the bunker. That's quite a lot. Natural being taken and nearly finished for Zerg, while simultaneously starting the lair. And that's another department in which these AIs could progress a little bit. That is build order wise. They could be so much better, but it's also very unrefined, and if these build orders are hard coded, the human players need to look up the Wikipedia page for some good build orders, or if they are computer generated, I really like to see them tested against human players, because these build orders are really wacky. And a quick expansion into quick lair, into an evo chamber, and that's going to be... and then a lot of upgrades, lurker play, and a spire as well. That's just so much stuff. And Whopper is going for mech play with an expansion. Behind this bunker we've got, I think, 2 Marines in it. Worker transfer being done, and now Whopper is setting up shop for some mech play. Third being taken by Zerg, and sacrificing a couple of Zerglings to see that there is actually a mech army. 4th base being taken as well. So macro wise, Zerg's doing okay. 35 workers, could do with 1 more round and then some army, because 1.5 armies, only a half army supply versus 36 is not really something you'd ideally like to see. And Whopper, although being very powerful, that's a 5th base and still half an army supply and a hive, and that's really beyond me. Okay, now finally producing some army and just sending it over into the enemy for getting killed, attacking tanks, not attacking the Goliath. And that's just, oh well, attacking the Goliath as well. And the Wraith, there was only 1 Wraith, so air cover wise, the Muta thing is hitting it right on the nose. Now this Goliath is having free range, but so many tanks are being killed by this handful of Mutas. And now Brian Weber is all over the map. It's got a lot of workers, and Whopper is only on 2 bases and producing flights as fast as it can, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, because once you've got so many bases and so many overlords, you can just build mutas for a living and no repair. And that's something you see for these older bots which haven't received an update, that they are not actually repairing the units they've got, which could make a lot of sense, because if you've got limited production capacity, as any mech Terran would have, it's very hard to produce enough Goliaths to ward off a muta attack. But as Brian Weber is not producing any more mutas, now stuck again on 6 army supply with an ultra cavern, with a hive, and I wouldn't be surprised to find a Defiler mount somewhere, though. It's really beyond me what's happening. Oh, and now Whopper's got a battle cruiser as well, and it's coming to go into the battle, which is nice. And another base being taken. 3 mutas have found it a little bit quicker than I had. More mutas are being ferried in, and will Whopper protect it? No, it won't, not really. Just staying put at the natural choke, and all these SCVs are going to die. But by now we've got about 8 mutas harassing this base. The Overlord Puddle in the middle of the map is doing stuff. And this is just really weird to see. We've got 91 workers and 20 army supply, or 30 almost. We've got, oh, sorry. Shit, what is this? Oh, that's my grave versus the Reaver. Need to keep that somewhere else. But we've got the third being torn down by mutas and ultras, which is a very wacky composition. We've got ultra speed, ultra armor, and +3/+3 started, and we've got still only 26 armor supply. 89 workers now. Tank on the high ground, tank on the low ground, battle cruiser over here, but there is just too much Zerg stuff, I feel. And Zerg is really... Okay, well, Brian Weber can't play well, but it's really unconventional what it's doing. And now with the units on the high ground, Whopper clears the base once more, but it's a 2 base versus the map kind of thing. And we've got a lot of Scourge coming in, and that's really too many Scourge. How many have we got? We've got 34 Scourge, and I'd say that's really overdoing it. We've got 34 Scourge, and all of them are dying. And the Overlords are progressing towards the enemy base. We've got a lot of mines, but of course the Scourge are not going to be able to do anything about that. How many have we got now? We've got 28, a lot of them died. And this is really, really weird. I like the style of play. Just take the map and build units. Oh, and this one Hydra is clearing up the entire minefield and the last 3 mines with its life. Whopper, though, is getting a little bit of an army back, but the main is mining out. The third has been restarted again, but now, oh god, all the mutas and the Scourge are coming in. And these Goliaths have got quite a lot of DPS, but there is just too much for Zerg, I feel. And it's 35.5 army supply, but all the army sitting back in the main. They should be able to get out by the looks of it, but it's just sitting back. And Zerg is going to be relentless. And finally producing some army. And upgrade-wise, we've got a lot of stuff. We've got Yamato, we've got Rake Cloaking, but Zerg is just all over this. All kinds of upgrades being built. And we've got 14k and 2.5k in the bank and still not maxed. So Brian Weber could be a little bit more on point on producing units. We've got another battle cruiser, which makes me wonder, will we see another huge round of raids? Yeah, we've got 15 Scourge coming up, and oh well, it's only 5 which died. And you can see now the production tab. We've got about 20 ultras in production. Oh god, yeah, you can max out pretty quickly like that. And all the bases have been taken. God, this is really, and still a lot of Overlords in production as well. But so many ultras. Hello. And Whopper taking the low ground again. But soon I feel there will be too many ultras to just... That's really a lot. And so many Sunkens as well. We've got 16 ultras, 10 Scourge, and there is just not enough DPS. Oh, Terran's mined out as well. And the Battle Cruiser gets killed. And production-wise, there is nothing at all from either player. Oh, there's Spore Colony, and a tank and an SCV. We've got 40 larvae, and nothing being produced for Zerg because this game is over. So, Brian Weber, thank you for this beautiful game, and GG. Next up, we've got Purple Cheese, the Protoss from Dan Gant, and the enemy is Forcebot from Tom Peterson from the Gull University of Delft. Countryman, so Tom, I hope you do very well. Not really looking like you'll be making the round of 16, but this bot is impressing me at times. I hope it will do so this game. Purple Cheese, by the looks of it, is going for a very quick gateway. That's not really cheesy. Might be a little bit better on that. And then building 2 Zealots, 3 Zealots and a Cyber Core, while Zerg is going for a large batch of... I saw a large batch of Zerglings, or at least about 14. In-base hatchery stock, that's pretty good. Natural operational worker count, really a little bit low, but might easily produce some more. Some more drones are being produced, and purple cheese is not really being cheesy. That's bothering me. I think this is going to be a Corsair, and the link train is about to hit the main, and that's only 6 zealots. So with a good fight, I think that Forcebot might actually take this, and now all the links are going to plow into the... Oh, they're going to retreat, and that's very unfortunate. Drones have been built, that's good. I think though that Protoss is going to be in an advantageous position. Oh, got a scout. I thought it's going to be a Corsair. What's the next thing going to be? It's going to be a scout as well. Have we got any kind of anti-air? No, we haven't. So the scout might actually be a little bit of a problem. It's going to kill... Oh, and all the workers are now transferred back to the main. Unfortunately, there is no anti-air there either. But the Zerglings are all over this, and as there are only scouts and zealots, it's going to be a bit of a problem because the natural of Protoss has been demolished. A Hydra Den has been built, and the scout is still going to town on the Protoss base. Oh, 2 scouts now. That's pretty good. The Zerglings are in the middle of the main base doing nothing. We've got 2 Hydras, but Forcebot looking a little bit clunky, losing the natural while having enough army to defend it. Meanwhile, we've got 3 scouts and only 1 Hydra or 2, and it doesn't really appear. Forcebot's really a bit sluggish, got money, can build Hydras, but it's retaking the natural. 2 drones being idle, large army, but the Lings are dying, and we've got 3 scouts now. What the hell? And Protoss just going to build units from here on. 2 bases unhindered, and the army for Zerg is dead. So Protoss taking it. We've got a lurker, but you need quite a bit of DPS, and by now all the drones are dead. Almost all the drones are dead, and drones are going to long distance mine from the natural, and it's not really the safest place. So that's the GG, I'd say. No more money, no more workers, no more army. Purple cheese doing it, and Forcebot got some work to do. Then next up we've got Marikadic versus Aurélien Lermand, and Aurélien is from France, and the bot's called Garm, and it has an interesting style of play which we'll soon find out. We've got a handful of Marines taking the map, being chased back by 1 Zergling. They are a little bit squeamish of getting their muzzles dirty of their rifles, and they're all moving back to base, and Kadek is not really building anything else at the moment. Has got a handful of Marines, and Garbot has got a lot of workers. Very puny army, and is scouting the map with the work. Oh, this worker is going to die. Surely more Marines being built, academy being built, and all these Lings are just being fed into the Marines, not really getting anything done. 1 Marine's getting low. Oh, and taking... Oh, that's pretty could work if you play some Sunkens and get a couple of lurkers up, but for the time being, I'd say that's pretty ballsy. A 3rd base being taken for Garm. And Garm used to be much quicker taking all these bases, but if this 3rd is going to be operational, that's very interesting. I feel, however, that with this Bile Ball growing, it's not really the safest place. That's going to be the 5th base already of only 4 army supply, and all these units... The most advanced micro they've got is a move. Oh, and they just ignore the... Oh, the 2 Marines are going to town on it. And the Marines are going to claim the map for their own with the medics, and now have found something to do. So these 2 Marines are doing pretty well. The Marines in the main base are not really helping out at this point. Natural being ripped to shreds by these Marines with the medics, and the main base will soon follow suit, I feel. Now Zerg, undeterred by losing a lot of bases, is just going to take more bases. Kadek is going for a natural at the place of the 3rd of the mineral only. The Overlords are being chased out, and Garm is now at 2 more bases, rebuilding drones. Should be looking to take this base as well. And Kadek is on 63 army supply, but not actively scouting, and only just killing whatever crosses its path, building turrets in the natural choke of the conquered enemy base. And the Overlords are still here. Now the blob is making its way up the map. And Garmbot is taking another base at the other end of the map as well. Natural being taken for Kadek, and I'm going to speed it up just a little bit more because Terran, being so sluggish, is about to hit max, only building one depot at a time. And we've got a Queen, which can out-micro these slow Terran units all day. But the Terran is now about maxed. Not building the final depot for reasons, taking out another base. But Garmbot has re-established a base here and is now attacking with a single Zergling this base over here. And Terran hitting, oh look at that, a lot of technology being lost by Zerg. And Kadek has finally hit 200. That's pretty well. Terran now operating in two groups, taking down another base, must be, yep, there we go, lots of money in the bank. But Zerg still got 4 bases going, and units are streaming in from all directions, taking out the natural, taking bites at this base, while the main army is just being confused, hugging around this command center and sending some stuff over to help defend the natural as well. So that's pretty neat. Army supply is 171. All the workers which are being killed are being replaced with army. And in the long run, that's going to give you a very large army. And Garm is just going to be relentless. But there is a small detachment of Terran army defending the main base. But it's not enough by the looks of it. Because all the main army has joined up again and the Lings are all over it, taking down this base 2 at a time, while attacking these buildings over here as well. Another base has been snuffed out by this huge 175 supply Terran army. These 2 queens are getting out of harm's way and the entire army is called back to defend versus 2 Zerglings, but the main base is now under attack. And if these units, oh here they go again. And Garm is just relentless, retaking bases, killed. We've got a Lurker now, that's cute, especially as there is no Terran army, because the visibility with all these turrets is good, but as there is no nothing to shoot at the Lurker, it's going to be a bit of a problem. And Garm taking yet another base, and this base being torn down by Lurker, a Hydra and a Zergling. And Kadek is losing a lot of money. He is no longer maxed, was 200, is now only 178, but now the entire army is coming back, but there is no scan anymore. And this Lurker is going to do massive amounts of damage. It's 145, 38, that was 145 earlier, so many Marines are going to get killed because of this. And they are, I was saying they were lucky not to stand right in full range of this Lurker, but that's about 40 supply killed by only 1 Lurker. And the Marines over here are doing stuff, and this Terran base has been retaken. Garm is just relentless. And where we had a 175 army supply army, we now only have, we've got 1 Guardian taking care of this 1 base. There are only tanks. So this is really messy, and Garm just doesn't care. It just goes on taking bases, and with an Ultra and 2 Ling is taking this base down, and there isn't really any money for another tank. So now this base is vulnerable and more Lings are streaming in. The entire army is brought back again, but Garm is just taking bases all over the place, and the only base mined out is the Terran main. So Terran hasn't got any income anymore, and now we've got 2 Guardians. Oh dear, the last bit of money is being spent on Comsat and Refinery. That's not how you do it at all. Terran's got 100 army, Zerg got map. Where will we go from here? Now, these Guardians are being taken down by the Marines, but the Marines are now dead, and some are coming back. Army supply dropped to 92 though. For every once in a while something gets broodling by one of these 2 queens, and that just can't go on forever. 92 army supply, Zerg taking the Terran natural just for good measure, taking down this base with a single Hydra, and this huge Terran army, which is now only 86 army supply, is being torn from left to right, from top to bottom, and is going to clear out the Zerg base, but Zerg's got the map. It's not really like there isn't enough money, and there is only 77 army supply and 76. There we go, another base being taken by Garm. This Hydra is taking forever taking this base down, now morphing into a Lurker, getting some help from a Zergling. which means that this base will be up for grabs as well. And Garm got 70 workers, so where are they all? That's really... So, oh, this base is really oversaturated. And the main base is being taken down, and the main army is just being circumvented. That's the GG, Garmbot taking it over Marikadek. GG! Next game up, it's Thomas Siri versus Martin Royak as Litterbot. And I was really expecting at least Martin to be a little bit above the midfield, but if you define a midfield from everything between the top 20 and the bottom 10, you've got a large midfield, so that's not really surprising that you also find some very good bots in there. Thomas Siri is a decent Protoss. It's got one flaw, and that is that it's got only one army group, so you will soon see its entire army either advancing or retreating. It can't defend and attack simultaneously, but it can pack quite a punch, and it's got good macro, so you got to be really careful. Martin Royak as Litterbot going for a hybrid build with tanks, with marines and medics, and it's got things pretty well locked down. Protoss though is really gathering a large army, and with 3 bases versus 2, that might be a problem for Terran. And if it's going to start the robotics facility to drop these Reavers somewhere convenient, it might actually be pretty dangerous. Litterbot being very passive. Don't really like that, because you're giving the Protoss such a chance to run away with the map. And if you are Terran, if you've got the tanks, if you've got the bio, oh, here we go. So the entire army is going to tear in, and now they're all moving back as one man. Only 3 bases for Protoss, so nothing too spectacular, not going overboard on the macro. It's 88 versus 81 army supply. Litterbot being very passive, but here we go with the science vessels. And now it's a matter of good luck, have fun stopping this army, this Terran death train. And that's almost 100 army supply moving in a big conga line. Protoss now tearing into it a little bit, but then wavering and doing a lot of damage. But as there are tanks, and as there is a medic, and as there is a science vessel, and as there are medics, this is going to be really painful. And the Reavers, where are the Reavers? The Reavers are not there at all. Protoss army is trading okay-ish at the moment. Litterbot not going for a third, and that might be Litterbot's downfall, because if this push peters out, but with the medics to buffer, and these tanks can kill goons every day of their lives, no problem. There we go, lots of tech for Thomas Siri. 4th base, and that might just be its saving feature, but it's got to stop this 45 army supply of Litterbot, and the natural will be under fire soon. All the probes are going to die, and Litterbot taking a third finally, because the main must be getting out already. And Siri with the Reaver on the high ground, but not really getting too much done. Litterbot in control, 102 army supply with the bio, with the tanks, only 4 tanks, so if you've got any kind of decent way to take out these tanks, you're golden. Siri scrambling to rebuild, but it's got only 5 army supply. It's very, very low on army. Litterbot with the third is maxed, got 135 army. That is going to be the game. So yeah, Thomas Siri. Well, let's see if this base is going to be found. I think it will be, or that one for that matter. Litterbot being very slow to not taking a 4th base, but with that large of an army. And there you go, it's found the enemy base, and the entire army is converging upon it. So without further ado, let's hop into the last game of the midfield. It's Daedus versus Casiobot. And Casiobot used to go way overboard in evolution chambers. I've seen 20 at a point, and without making any armor, any army. Now going for a pool and a handful of Zerglings. Daedus going for 2 gates and a handful of zealots. Might be, no, that's a scouting probe. And a 3rd base for Casia. So I like that. More lings being built. We've got a handful now, but there are just too many zealots at the top of the ramp. Could help their friends a little bit more. Thus preserve the lives of some of their said friends. Now Pylon is going to be all about zealots, look like. So that's cool. No problem, no sweat. But the problem is, or the problem is going to be that there is a Zerg out there with 3 bases, and you're really going to need to protect your army a little bit better. That's a cyber core with some range. These zerglings might be held off a little bit more efficiently, and the zerglings being sent out one at a time are not really cutting it at this point. They're just going to seem to be going on some kind of attack move. Lair without any workers, drone count very low for Casiobot, and everything's here at the main. Could build more workers. It's got 18, 20, nothing happening here. That's really weird. And Data's is still only building, it's not building anything actually. Got a lot of money, it's got the production capacity, it's got the supplies, got even got gas, could make a couple of goons. And Casiobot is taking its sweet time to just build units. And oh, we've got 2 lairs now. Oh, 3, that's nice. 3 Hydra Dens, 2 Evo Chambers. Oh god, here we go. So Casiobot is 15 workers, a half army supply, and Data's has gotten stuck as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3 Evo Chambers, and Casiobot keels over. You can see it if it turns light blue, it means it conked out, it got stuck somewhere, and you can't see why, because probably it hasn't found another spot to build another Hydra Den or Evo Chamber without touching another building. Something like that's probably going to happen. So there we go, last game for today. Oh, sorry. Hello, and sorry for the tiny interruption. We have the last game of today's broadcast, which will be McRae versus Bereaver. Earlier I tried to switch to this one last recommended game, but I switched to the wrong browser, or I recorded the wrong game, or whatever. So I had to do it again, which is a big pity, and this is the number 3 McRae versus Bereaver. And that's the number 3 versus number 5 at this moment. We have still got 1 week of round robin left to determine who will be the final entrance to the round of 16. And we'll see a nice, oh, that's really beautifully done. Pylon a little bit exposed, but the SimCity here at the entrance is pretty okay for Bereaver. And the Zealot to help and defend, or in this time, in this phase, go and attack. And the second Zealot is going to go out as well. Worker-wise, these bots are dead even, and the first goon isn't out yet. Oh, it is just popped out, and this one Zealot can it kill? It kills 1 probe and then it dies. And another probe, 2 probes die, so McRae a little bit down in probes, but then can chase these Zealots back to their own base with these 2 goons. And more Zealots are coming. So what's behind this for Bereaver? We've got a lot of buildings, but none of them appears to be a cyber core. And McRae is going to build another gateway and something else, might be a forge. Forge up for Bereaver already, and this looks like it's going to be a cyber core. 3 cannons at this point, really surprising. You can see Bereaver being ahead in army supply, but that's all Zealots versus the goons. And these goons, especially since they're now 3 or 4 already, will be able to out-micro these Zealots no problem. And upgrade-wise, the range for McRae is finished already. So will this be a quick game? At the top of the ramp, we've got these cannons, which are illogically placed, to say the least. The cyber core is up, and the 4th gateway will be done momentarily. Lots of Zealots on the high ground, but McRae is here with 5 goons on the low ground. And it's safe to say that some more Zealots might be dying, but the first goon for Bereaver is out, and McRae doesn't really dare. Oh, now it comes in for some more damage. Kills 1 more Zealot, and you can see the army advantage for McRae, although it's down in workers, is about... Oh, isn't. Sorry. Tech-wise, oh, the Zealots are now coming to grips with the goons. The goons can't all run away. And Bereaver is going in for some damage. It's hard to see with this white Protoss versus yellow Protoss. It's all goons and Zealots, and the colors are not too distinctive. But McRae's gotten the good concave and is killing a lot of units. But Bereaver is keeping his units tight together and getting some stuff done. Range is done as well, but Bereaver is fleeing a lot, and that's costing hit points, if not to say unit. And McRae is now ahead in army supply. First Observer is out, and this one is... Oh, well, they both appear to be for McRae. At McRae about 10 army supply ahead. also starting the natural, and the natural has been started as well for Bereaver. Bereaver plopping down 2 cannons at the same time, but McRave has gotten things well under control on the middle of the map because the army supply for Bereaver is so tiny that it's hard really to get anything done versus the superior numbers of goons. Robo Bay is done, and here as well with the Robo Support Bay 2. Observatory out already, and upgrade wise what will we see? And while we see, let's have a look. Oh, that's observer speed or range or whatever. And Bereaver is sitting back. Oh, losing a goon, that's unfortunate. While McRave I think has got the better army micro. While I say that, 2 zealots come in to take some free shots, but overall, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, the units are too many. They can't all be in a safe place. A goon gets lost for no reason. A handful of zealots get lost, but some zealots for Bereaver die as well. And this is just a very tense battle at the bridges. McRave still 34 versus 24 army supply, but these 2 cannons with a huge range just add 2 goons basically worth of damage without taking up supply. So Bereaver sort of okay, but now losing a lot of units, and the question is what is going to keep it into the game? Will we see... oh, we'll see a Reaver. There it is. First Reaver out for Bereaver. And McRave really making a bit of a mess of it at the bridges. And with only 3 goons and these 2 cannons which have yet been untouched, Bereaver can make well on this defense. And the first Reaver is out. It's in a dangerous position though, because it can't really flee with these goons blocking its path, taking down 1 goon. And getting pretty low in general. That's not good at all. And Bereaver is in a very scrappy position. Snuck a probe out to start a 3rd. It really needs that. Bereaver has done the same, so for the time being is okay. Bereaver scouting everywhere, but McRave scouting everywhere. Bereaver still holding strong at the bridges. No Reaver yet for McRave, but these goons are really doing a number, and you can see the army disparity running up. Earlier it was about 10, now 20 army supply, and worker-wise they're dead even, so these 2 cannons with 3 Reavers are keeping Bereaver into this game, but Bereaver can't really get out unless it will get off some glorious Reaver shots, but it's such a muddle at the bridges, it doesn't look like it. And, ooh, McRave is taking a shot at this base, but 2 cannons over there, which might not be enough, but the Zealot refuses to get in on the action and is going to die. But there is another goon and more goons and another Reaver. So, McRave translating its army advantage in a forked presence on the map. And going now to kill some units of its own with the Reaver. And, ooh, the Reaver dies, that's unfortunate, but the Reaver lost a Reaver as well, or should this be the one? Got a couple of storms too, but the 3rd is being torn down, and that's bad news, because now it's 3 versus 2 base, and McRave already has map control. There is a shuttle though, and I don't know what's in that shuttle, normally a Reaver, so let's keep an eye on that. And some storms too, but McRave is keeping a more loosely packed army composition. Oh, this storm is pretty well done. Nice Reaver shot. And the Reaver looks like, oh, it's doing lots and lots of damage with the Reaver shots to do in the already damaged goons. And, ooh, that was a really ugly shot to a Reaver and damaged some Templar. And this is just a very, very tense, scrappy battle at the bridges with Reavers, with High Templar at the side of the Reavers, and the storms are hitting pretty well. But McRave has got the concave and the mobility, and that is going to be worth quite a lot. 3rd being restarted for Bereaver, but as you can see, supply-wise, it's going to run out of control. McRave has got the army supply advantage. There is nothing here to defend these 2 cannons anymore. Although 1 or 2 goons might yet die again, this one is going to snuff it as well. The Reavers now range the cannons, and that is going to be the game. 3rd will be too late for Bereaver, and the 3rd for McRave has been mining happily. 4th being started, and ooh, finally the shuttle with the Reaver is going to do something. Oh, and these, no, the probes, no, no, oh. Oh, he just missed the train. That was really unfortunate, and this Templar hasn't got any more storms. And I think that Bereaver hasn't got the money anymore to allocate, or the money has not been... Oh, there are no more Scarabs, and there is... Perhaps it's saving money for something else. And now the Reaver dies. That's very unfortunate. So it's 4 versus... well, 0 bases because the main is mined out. And that's the game. So look out for these two bad boys in the round of 16. And for now, I thank you for watching. Do help and support us. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Spread the word on Twitter, especially for the elimination stages, which will be, I think, tenser and more interesting than these round robin stages. Next week, we'll be back with the last session of round robin. And then we'll be looking at who is going to make the round of 16. For now, thank you very much. Thank you for our sponsors who are sponsoring on Patreon. You guys are awesome. Without you, no tournament, of course. And hope to see you again next week. Oh, and do visit the website if you like to play against these AIs. Blizzard will be updating Brood War Remastered or combining it with Brood War API at this moment, so that's very interesting, and will also increase the player base. So for now, thank you for watching, and see you again next week. Goodbye!